Hello everyone and welcome back to twitch.tv/CLX Gaming TV. This is CLX Foundry Live. I am your host, DJ BluePDX, and of course joining me right now is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, Zack Killingsworth. If you are here and super intrigued by one of the fun things that you could win, check it out between the boys right there in the back. That is our current lavender build that you saw us do last week. Absolutely amazing. It's an incredible design, lots of color and lots of fun. So type exclamation give lav in the chat right now, and you can get that. We'll be giving away some codes throughout the days. On here, you can also get them via trivia and other elements from Ivory inside the Discord at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. And also check out our socials. That's YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, where you might find more ways to get extra entries into this incredible giveaway. Between the stream and my stream, we got you covered. One thing I will say is that I just noticed you guys have 5 huge PCs behind you. There's just PCs everywhere. I don't think I actually noticed that before. But, you know, I see this show every day, and
it's cheaper than wallpaper.
That is also true. That is also true. All right, we have an incredible build today for Zoo from Savannah, Georgia. What are you going to be stuffing in the box, guys?
Yeah, so we've got a first for the show. Very excited for this.
Yeah.
So starting out, we've got the i7 13700KF. We got Enermax 360 rad cooling that. For our motherboard, we got an ASRock Z690 Phantom Gaming 4 DDR4 edition. 2 sticks of GSKill 32 gig DDR4 3600 memory. So it's 64 gigs of memory in this. A 1 terabyte NVMe Kingston NV2 drive. A 3090 Ti from MSI. 12 fans and a 1000 watt Gigabyte UD 80 plus gold fully modular power supply. I have left out the case because that is the surprise.
That's the big baby right there. That is the big baby. Let's take a look. We premiered this back at PAX East in Boston. It is the brand new Phanteks NV7. Now this case, it takes cable management and I would say fan positioning to a whole new level. It is one of the more impressive builds that I have seen in a long time. And we're going to talk you through the process as to why this is incredible from the beginning. But the first thing I'd love to show, if we can, is show the back end, because this is one of the cool things that I love about it before we start tearing it apart. Notice that is the back of your PC. Now show the wonderful people why. This back door allows you to keep all of your cable management. All of your cable management is right there. From power supplies to enable, and it all comes out through those little combed teeth in the bottom, making it easy, nice, organized, and it's a very clean and coordinated look to it. So absolutely incredible. Lots to talk about with this case. But back to you guys. Let's talk about what this thing does and how it gets taken apart.
Yeah, so we'll start disassembling this now. We're going to pull off all the panels like we do for every build, and then we'll just get into it. So a little bit more panels on this to take off. As you can see, Zach's opened the door here on the back. Top panel comes off like an O11. We'll pull the back door off. It's on hinges.
There we go.
And so this side panel, when we first got these, I couldn't figure out how to get this off. I assumed it just slid off up top, but it actually has 2 screws, kind of like a traditional side panel. So it just slides in from the side and these screw in. Now that back door does cover it up. So it is, you got to take that back door off to find these thumb screws.
Shout out real quick, as Ivory mentioned, to Kyle for suffering through the printing of the branding inside the chassis, which cannot or even remotely be easy. Nicely done. Now, one thing I do want to point out from this angle, as you're seeing this, notice the bottom looks like it's at an angle because guess what? It is. And we're going to discuss in a little bit, once we get those bottom fans on there, about why it's important that it's aimed and directed like that, because there's something really cool that this case does that other cases don't. It's what we call a rotational fan array. So the air is going to be coming up from the bottom, blow off that front piece of glass, and it's going to create that circular motion for intake and outtake. which definitely helps move the air around a little bit differently than, say, some of our other cases that we've used on the show in the past.
Yeah, it's kind of the first case that we've seen that has this slant for the bottom. So on top of all those reasons too, it does give you, as we talk about the feet, it does give you a bigger gap here for those fans to bring in even more fresh air.
Yeah, which is really cool. I'm been absolutely impressed with this ever since I first saw it. And one of the cool things about it is the way that it's set up, the way the lighting and the fans are going to be setting up there. It gives a strong and defining outer frame that captures and accentuates the hardware components, which, you know, when you're wanting to make a build like this, you always want to show those off.
Yeah, so Zack just pulled these panels off here, or these covers. These are pretty cool. So these have RGB in them. If you've seen them on, if you've seen this case on, you know this part has RGB. We'll obviously see it at the end. But what's really cool about this is there's no wire. Kind of like the EvolveX front panel, there's 3 gold pins here you can see. Yep, and they will clip into here. We'll try to get this on camera so you can see the connection. So they'll clip in here, and then here as well.
That is awesome.
Very good design. It's really nice to not have to deal with plugging in a cable there and then, you know, installing it. Very nice.
Super shiny.
I've actually been thinking about switching my build to this, so I was thinking maybe I'll do that. Maybe we could do a show where I transfer my parts to a case like this. It might be kind of a cool thing to show.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome. Alrighty.
I think that's
cool. Got
it for stripped.
All right, so you can see there was quite a bit more to take off than just, you know, 3 side panels and a top panel. So we've got, you know, most of the stuff taken off, the fan brackets out. Zach's just going through here.
And we can show the back.
Yeah. Ready.
Yeah.
So another cool thing that I wasn't expecting when we first saw this case is where we can mount our 2.5-inch drive. So there are actual like doors here. Obviously we could take these off the hinges. I don't believe we need to though, right? We'll leave these on.
Yeah, they'll stay on.
So we can actually mount, you know, a 2.5-inch SSD here on both sides. Lots of stuff. They've got even these posts you can like wrap a cable around for some easy cable storage there. Just a lot of stuff you can do for putting your 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives in this case.
Yeah.
That's a genius design. I absolutely love it.
Big hard drives here, or we can hold 4 SSDs here and a hard drive here, and then 2 SSDs up on the tray. So it can hold 6 SSDs and 1 hard drive, or 2 hard drives and 2 SSDs, or any
whatever configuration you want to get in there. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, this whole case is wild because it's got multiple different elements to it. You can have it fits and supports ATX, micro ATX, mini ITX, SSI CEB, which I don't even know what the heck that means, and then EATX. Obviously, you can get up to 277 millimeter wide with an LED cover for your motherboard, and that's a lot of options, a lot of choices right there.
Yeah, and this case also has really good RGB control built on. We can talk about that a little bit later once we get everything plugged in. But what we found out when Zach did that first build of these, we were plugging in, you know, our M2 fans, and we were able to make the M2 fans do a whole bunch of extra RGB stuff that we couldn't do before just because of this case. So very cool there. Lots of good stuff. This case is obviously one of the most hyped up cases that there's been in the PC world for a while. So I'm always a little bit skeptical of that, but the hype is real for this case. It is awesome.
One really cool thing to point out about this case is the fact that you can fit on the average, just if you're doing single layers, 12 fans maximum, which means a total of 15 if you do a push-pull.
Yeah, one of the most I guess biggest differences here is usually, you know, you just have one 120 mil fan on the back. Here we've got spots for 2. So we'll be filling those up as well. And you can actually we're going to pull this kind of grate off. I don't really want to call this a filter because it's not quite a filter, but what's pretty cool is obviously most times when you're putting an exhaust fan in here, it goes on the inside of the case. Well, on this, you could even, if you want to, put it inside the door here to give you more room inside the case. Now we're going to be putting them on the inside of the case. It's just a little bit easier that way, but you know, if you were in a situation where you needed that room, you could do it. Oh, yep.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Lots of screws on this one.
First time I put up, you know how I do my magnet tray,
Yeah.
so I was magnet traying everything. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back and put these so I know which one goes where.
Yeah. So what we're talking about there, guys, is if you're ever taking off panels on a case and you end up with a lot of screws, what we like to do here is just put the screw back in the hole without the panel. That way, when you go to put it back on, you know your screw is right there. It's a good tip.
Smart choice.
So.
Real quick, if you are in the chat and you have questions about anything that you hear us talk about today, please feel free to ask. There's no such thing as dumb questions, and we're here to help you with anything that you might have questions about, whether it's something we're building or something that you've experienced with your PC as of recent. We'll see what we can do. All right. Our motherboard is one that we have seen here before. It's a tried and true ASRock Phantom Gaming 4. It is a Z690 chipset, so it's a DDR4 board. It does not have an IO shield, so I think it's a good time for us to, because usually a lot of times we have them built in. So Zach, walk us through prepping that IO shield when it comes like this for that board.
Yes, so so you can see these tabs right here and right here. They just stick up a little bit. What we don't want to happen is when we install our motherboard, we don't want those to be inside. So for that to get fixed, all we have to do is just do a little bend and a little bend.
There we go.
Bend them back all the way. If they break off, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So. All right, so I'll go ahead. Here's the processor. We can put that in first.
There we go. As far as processors go, this is going to be a fun one. This is a Core i7-13700KF. For those who don't know what those letters mean, Paul, what are the different types of processors?
Yeah, so you've obviously, as far as Intel goes, you've got a few different letters for their designations. So first off, K means it's unlocked, which means we can overclock the CPU. F means it's not going to have onboard video, so if we didn't have a video card in this build, we would not get video out of our motherboard video ports. Obviously, we're going to have a pretty awesome video card in this, so we don't need the onboard video. So that's what that means. This 13700KF is a 16-core, 24-thread processor. It's got 8 performance cores and 8 E cores, and then those performance cores have hyper-threading. So we have 16 cores there, or 16 threads there, and then 8 threads from our E cores. It's got a base speed of 3.4 gigahertz, and it can boost up to 5.4 if necessary, if it's got the cooling and you're in the right gaming environment.
And let's be fair, this is definitely one of the coolest builds ever. With the way that the air moves through here and the fans are configured, I would venture to say that this is one of the more well air-cooled systems I've seen.
Yeah, this case has great airflow. Just with how big it is. This is a case that can kind of, from the outside looking in, look like just a regular mid-tower case. We were actually talking this with some of the other guys. On the box of this from Phanteks, it says it's a mid-tower. But this definitely feels like a full tower. I believe in the instruction manual of the NV7, it calls it a full tower. I could definitely see it being in the middle of those. I always feel like it's just going to be like a standard size, then you get up next to it and you're like, oh, this thing is pretty big. Like even having it up here on the desk, it's like, yeah, this thing's taller than the other ones.
Saying that, Phanteks, if you want to make a smaller one,
yeah, that'd be cool.
I would be down to buy that one too.
The NV5.
Yeah.
And then an ITX, and NV2 or something. That'd be cool.
All right, too many ideas.
Yep. I bet it's already going on over there. All right, so we got our AIO out here.
AIO? Paul, that sounds like a whole lot of letters.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So an AIO is an acronym for all-in-one. It's referring to our liquid cooler here. So this is an AIO or all-in-one liquid cooler. It is a 360, which refers to the size of the radiator. We can fit 3 120mm fans, so that's where the 360 comes from. It's called an all-in-one because this already has coolant in it right out of the box. We don't have to do anything special. You can see Zack sorting out the hardware here. These AIOs do come with a few different types of hardware, and that's for the different sockets of CPUs and motherboards. So he's getting out our Intel bracket right now, and then we'll be installing a couple brackets on the pump here, and then putting the backplate on the motherboard, and then we can put it all together from there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's honestly, it's one of the late AIOs seem to have taken over for air coolers and becoming the industry standard.
Yeah, it really is. They're really easy to install, and they provide excellent cooling. There are some really good air-cooled solutions out there, but even with an air cooler, you're not going to be able to compete with a 240 or a 360 radiator. It's just not able to keep up. I remember when I first started building computers, if you had a liquid-cooled machine, like if you had an AIO, it was a really big deal. It was like, oh my God, you got a liquid-cooled computer, and yeah, nowadays it's honestly just standard.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so now we're getting those in there. Obviously, this is going to be an Enermax. Enermax LiquidMax 3 ARGB 360 closed-loop cooler. These... let's talk a little bit about, well, because on the bottom, I believe this does not come with the thermal paste on it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you can see Zach's pulling off that sticker right now. So some AIOs will come with thermal paste on the block already, and some it will come with a small syringe of thermal paste. So like the Enermax comes with one of these right here. It's a small tube of thermal paste. You can get a couple shots out of it. You know, but probably only 2 or 3 applications. It's not like the whole syringe is full of thermal paste. So it'll either come with this or thermal paste pre-applied. We're gonna go ahead and just put Arctic Silver on this since we have that. It
there we go.
Performs a little bit better than the Enermax stuff. I see Garrick in chat. What's up, Garrick? You're welcome. That was a good workout for me. Your PC was very heavy. So yeah, it's a beast though.
So whoa. I guess you could say that if you don't end up putting the thermal paste on correctly, your system's going to run, but just not for very long.
Right. Yeah. The system will run without that thermal paste, but it's not going to run for long. If you're in a gaming environment, you know, it's probably going to shut down, and you'll definitely notice it.
All of a sudden, you get a message: "Hi, your PC has 5 HP currently."
Yeah.
You only have 5 health points left. Oh, about putting the who in the back? Rad. Oh, the radiator in the back. Sorry. Somebody said rad in the back. I'm like, rad? I think it's a rad case. And I've been missing. Apparently, I need to put my text larger so I can see this better. There we go. Yes, you can put the radiator in the back. In fact, here's a question for Paul.
Yeah.
Can you show us where those would go, for starters? But also, is it possible to get larger than a 360 AIO?
Yes, so you can get a larger than a 360 if you want to, you know, YOLO swag it, go with a 420 build. That will fit in here in this back section if we can actually go back. So we can actually put one here, and then obviously above as well. I believe we're going to be mounting this one in the top. Is that right, yes. Zach? Yep. Yeah, we like mounting them in the top if we can. If not, obviously it's fine to do it elsewhere. But yes, you could mount. If this was a 240, we could mount it in the back of in the rear of the case here where my hand is, which is definitely something you can't do in like any other case.
Right.
I mean, and essentially, if you had a custom block, say for your graphics card, you could put your AIO for the CPU up above and run the AIO for the graphics card over to the right, or even to the dual. Like if you had a 240, you could put it on the rear exhaust.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of
lots of different options, and that's one of the nice things about having a case this size, is there are so many options.
Yeah, and I will say for height, it obviously is taller, but as far as width goes, that is where this is more of a mid-tower width. It's not crazy wide, which I like.
Yeah. Speaking of things that I like to be sneaky. I've said the first unlimited code worth 200 entries. Everybody can use it. I've already said it twice on the show. People, catch up. First one to get. Let's see who gets it.
It's just whoosh right.
I will tell you what it is. Once we've got 5 people with it. Once 5 people have claimed it. But yeah, I have said it twice. If Vex, if she's here, she will be on top of this so fast. Vex, she's been absolutely knocking it out of the park every single time I think I'm being creative. And she's like, nope, got it. All right, so Zach, walk us through this power cable, I would say, maneuvering that you are doing and what this accomplishes.
So I'm just trying to hide my fan header cable, or my fan cable for the all-in-one, and this just powers the pump reservoir. When you're plugging in, ideally you want to go to CPU fan header, but some fan headers will say like water pump on them, so we want to go to those guys instead, and they're just set up in the BIOS to already be running at the speed, or at a max speed, and get it plugged in here. I just like making things look a little bit prettier.
I dig it.
There we go.
TKMB's in the house. Hello, well, welcome. BlackRock Wednesday said I appreciated the JK. Yes. Hi. Just kidding.
Perfect. Okay. And I will go ahead and mount fans onto the radiator. So the one thing that I have learned with doing this, or building this case a couple of times now, is those 4 fans that sit up against the I'd call it the front, essentially, but the back. There's 4 fans that can go in there. Those need to be installed because I'm going to have a big chunk of fan and radiator at the top here. So I'm going to do some fan prepping now.
Got it. I do like, so yeah, let's take a look at this fan casing, because this is going to be this is for the bottom, yes?
This is the top, or this will be
That's the top,
side
got it, okay. And on the men, just foggy. Oh, zombie, we hope we get better. Hope we get to feeling better, man. Right, subjects are like, where is Vex? We need Vex to figure all of this out.
Yeah. I cannot believe how quick she was with those last ones.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now, I will ask, because when we had that top down on it, obviously this board doesn't have some of the extensive shielding like we've seen in other boards. And it looks like there's the little silver tubes above the north bridge. It's like there's 5 high performance circuits. What do those do?
Are you referring to these right here that I got my finger on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are our heat sinks for our motherboard. Pretty much same idea here with most heat sinks. You've got a piece of metal that's making contact with whatever component you're wanting to cool, and then that heat is going to flow up through this, and you can see the fins actually from this. So air is going to flow through this and take that heat away.
Gotcha. All right then. Perfect. All right, getting those 4 fans on there. These are going to be intake fans, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Now, one thing I do love about this case, again, we've got that angled bottom. You've got all 4 of these fans pushing the air in. It's going to get circulated up to the top across that front of the glass, helping not only cool the glass, but also rotate the air around. In addition to the fans on the bottom of the graphics card, they're going to pull it up. They're going to cool down that GPU while also allowing some of that fresh air to not just go straight into the graphics card, but to flow out and around. And Aramora is the first one to get it. Let's go! I am sneaky today. Congratulations, Aramora's first one to grab it. That code is worth 200 entries. Everybody is going to be able to use that once you all figure it out. 4 more people need to get it, and I'll tell you what it is. 4 more people.
That's funny.
And I guarantee it'll happen. So let's see here.
All right.
Getting all of those in there and put up on the back. Now, you mentioned that you could do a double on the rear exhaust, on the back panel exhaust. So is it possible to do a double on the quads? Is there room enough?
So
wow,
yeah,
so you could technically do 8.
Yep, this panel can actually angle up to get rid of that angle. We might have to do that. Like we could do fans, radiator fans, that as well. So
interesting. Interesting. Again, this case is mind-boggling to me. I absolutely loved seeing it over at PAX. And in need of temperance, got it. Let's go. There's 2. There's two people who got it and figured it out. Welcome in, Toxic Rat. How's it going? Shasta's your subject. You'll get it eventually, I promise, because everybody's gonna get it.
Yeah.
You missed the hint? No worries. All right, well, we're getting that in there.
Okay, cool. It's connected.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah, we're about to.
now we've
set
got
it
the
down.
motherboard in.
M.2 first, real quick.
Yep. So speaking of the M.2, let's take a look at that. That is going to be a 1 terabyte Kingston NV2 M.2 NVMe SSD. It's going to just slide right onto the board with a little screw to lock it down.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
When it comes to speed differences, how much faster are SSDs, especially M.2s, than say a traditional SSD that's connected via SATA?
I'll take this one.
Yeah.
SATA's SSDs are 2 times faster than a hard drive. So
Whoop.
twice the amount of speed from going from a hard drive to an SSD. Going from an SSD to an M.2, 6 times the speed.
Holy crap! That's a lot. Garrick, thank you so much for that tier 2 sub hype. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Tier 2, thank you.
That is awesome. You know how many Hot Pockets you can buy with that? Speaking of which, so while we're at DreamHack, it was sucked because inside the content creator lounge, it was powered by Hot Pockets, right? So Hot Pockets came in and brought a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't make Hot Pockets with no cheese, and I can't eat cheese, and so I'm having to smell everybody in their damn Hot Pockets while I'm in there. And there's like 5 Hot Pocket centers, like everybody's got a spot where they can throw a Hot Pocket in the microwave, and I'm just sitting there sipping on my Monster thinking, damn it, I'm hungry.
Gotta get in that Hot Pocket, that Philly cheesesteak one. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, right? I ate so many Hot Pockets. But they were free. They had them there. I was like, well, I'm just going to do it.
I know that Hot Pocket was putting the Planeswalkers from Magic on the boxes, too.
So Archblade asked a very good question. Why do you only put a 1 terabyte M.2 into PC builds when games are so big now and 1 terabyte won't last long? Excellent question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we're building now is a customer configured system. So this customer has configured it this way on our website. So I would assume they might have an extra M.2, 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch drive that they're going to add to this build. That would be my assumption, but you know, I obviously couldn't tell you what the intentions for it are, but that's usually what we see when they just have an OS drive.
Yeah. And I know we have 2. Shasta, did you already get it? I know Temperance has it. Who else got it up there? Let me go back in.
We're going to go ahead and put our memory in now.
All right. As far as memory goes, again, this is a DDR4 board, and we're going to be putting 32 gigs of RAM in this. This is 2 16/6 of GSKill DDR4 3600. So
this is 232 gigs. So we got a total of 64.
Oh, that's not what's on the build. So 232s.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, for some reason we had that. I'll flip that over so I can make sure I got it. So 64 gigs in here with this i7 13700. That's a lot. That's a lot of power.
It is, yeah.
Archblade also asked, what is the latency of the RAM? That's a good question.
Yes. Thinking.
Let's see. Yeah, I
Thinking
got you.
That's a question, yeah. He's looking for it real quick. Garrett mentions that Garrett's build has 14 terabytes. The hell's a terabyte?
All right. See the motherboard. Yeah, that's good. I was kind of worried with that shot. This is such a big lay-down case.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big. It's like it just doesn't fit in the camera shot.
Yeah, right.
Terabyte is terabyte's evil cousin. Exactly. Well said. All right, so we've gotten that on there. Obviously, you put the You pop that shield in, and then you set the board down so everything lines up, and then you get all your screws in for your standoffs. Standoffs, obviously, in the back. How many are there, and what do they do?
Yeah, so we're going to be installing 9 standoffs on this build. There is going to be 3 at the top, 3 in the middle, and 3 at the bottom. So this is an ATX case. That's why it's laid out that way. What the standoff does is it separates the back, the mounting, the motherboard tray of the case from the motherboard itself. We obviously don't want to just set your motherboard into a metal tray and screw it down. It would be shorting out all over the place. So that's why we use. Yeah. That's why their standoffs come with the cases. Most cases, whatever size they are, ATX, MATX, ITX, come with the standoffs in for the motherboard that goes with it respectively. You definitely still want to make sure that they're correct. You don't want to set your motherboard onto standoff and not know that it's there, not have a hole for your motherboard. That can cause some issues as well.
There we go, getting all those screwed in down. Shastos did not get the conflu from PAX after it happened. That's good.
Nice.
Oh, he did?
Not
oh, you
nice.
did get the conflu. I have, knock on wood, still good.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at this. What are some things you notice that are different about this case versus other cases when it comes to cable management and fan placement, Zach?
I noticed that this case is a lot difficult for me to build in because when I go to move a case, I always grab right here. And there's nothing for me to grab right there. So that is my like biggest change because I rely so heavily on a brace bar right here.
Yeah.
But it does make it nice because then you can like play with your
more
liquid cooler and like not have, you know?
For sure.
Okay. This one will go back here. This one will go up there. And that one will go up there.
Watching him do this, it's just like fascinating to me. It's like a puzzle.
Don't forget your washers.
Yes,
Your
that
washers.
too. I always find it interesting that there are so many different. There's just so many different ways to assemble a PC. Like you've got your basics, but everybody's got their different take.
Yeah, you could put your radiator up here where we're doing it, back here, or you could just not even mount it anywhere and just lay it in there with the fans on. You could do that too.
What would you say would be the top 5 like highest particular cases that you see used?
Like most common ones?
Yeah.
So the main ones that we're seeing a lot of O11s right now, and that's the XL and the Dynamic. There's definitely some smaller ones of those, but I would say those are the top 2. Phanteks Evolve X is another big one we see here.
P500.
Yeah, P500 has kind of really gained a lot of traction. So I'd say those 4, and then for a 5th, probably a P400, which is a smaller version of those, definitely more of a mid-tower case.
Gotcha. Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, do you risk, or is there a risk of torquing the frame because you don't have that square off on that upper side bar like you mentioned?
So with the way this case is designed, not really. It's definitely not an issue. What I was seeing when we had this up is I was kind of expecting almost like some GPU sag from up here, but it's reinforced really well.
And it is already 11:35. We've got 2 people who've got this. 2 people. 3 more, and I'll just tell you what it is.
I believe there's a
We've got 3. Look at that, Peach Pie Babes finally figured it out. Let's go. Let's go.
Nice.
There we go. There we go. There's 4. Zombie Ring got it. There's 4. 1 more and I'll tell you all what it was. This is great. This is, by the way, this is an unlimited code. Unlimited code, and it is for 200 entries into the PC giveaway for that beautiful Phanteks lavender case that is lit up like a Christmas tree behind them. Absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, and That's on that side, so I want those blown out the back.
Olmec is like, I don't like this. Don't worry, Olmec. I'm gonna give it to everybody.
This can be flat.
Don't worry. This is just more for fun. It's-
And center.
So something to point out while Zach's mounting these intake fans here for the bottom is you can see all these different cutouts here. And what this does is allow you to have a few different configurations. So on your 120 mil fan, you could have them, you know, centered. You can have them more to the back or more toward the front. This also allows you to put bigger fans in here, so 140 mil fans can fit in the bottom as well.
Got it. Yeah, this is the fun one to watch because this is the one where it's going to go down underneath.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So now looking at you mentioned you did mention you could put 140s in here instead of 120s. Is there how big of a performance difference is there between the air movement of a 140 versus a 120?
Yeah, so I don't have like an exact number because it does depend on the type of fan you're using, but I'd say, you know, probably between like a 10 to 20% increase in airflow using some 140s. It's probably not anything that's going to be super noticeable unless you're like really just measuring down the exact temperature of your case. But as far as gaming performance goes, you probably won't see a difference going from 120 to 140 fans.
They could be quieter because the one thing about running a bigger blade is you can run a slower RPM and move the same amount of air as like a 120 at a faster RPM. But you won't have that of it spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might give you a little bit extra lighting as well, maybe.
So, well, I guess it's kind of a in the past. So let's talk about in your personal past, not necessarily in your professional past. What are give me your top 5 highly problematic cases.
Top 5 highly problematic case. Let's see. Anything that's ITX. No.
And why is that?
So ITX cases are just really small. Cable management is very hard in there, and what can be a problem with the cable management in ITX is, say you've got a beast of a build in a small case, you've got a 1,000-watt power supply. Sometimes those cables, there won't be very good spots for cable management, so it can make putting a back panel on getting a little harder. Other cases, let's see, back in the day there was like, you know, back when when I first started building PCs, probably when you were messing with them too, all the cases were kind of like cheap plastic. So you pop the front panel off and maybe break a few tabs on them, and
or cut yourself because it's metal.
So
yeah, that too.
Yeah. So real quick, congratulations to Necro and Silent J, both getting it, and you got that. So there we go. I said 5 huge PCs. I said 5 high performance circuits, 5 hot pocket centers, 5 HP case, 5 highly precision cases, 5 highly problematic cases. Your code is LAV-5HPC. There you go. That is unlimited for everybody. Reese over here like, I didn't even hear him say nothing.
So if we can go back to our front shot there real quick, Jason, we are installing that bottom tray of fans.
Okay. Now, let's take a look at well, since we've got that's a great angle, so just the airflow is not only coming in from the back, it's going to be pulled up from that lower area. Now, the nice thing about this is it's angled, so you've got a greater area of influx from underneath the case. This is going to blow it up towards the glass. Now, this has 2 different effects. Not only is it going to cool the glass down, which helps with even more heat dissipation, it also is going to circulate the air in the case instead of just blowing it straight into your graphics card. The graphics card will get fresh air, but also it's going to circulate that air so it can almost create like a funnel or vortex and pull out that back and up the top. So you get a little more fresh air up to those top, the top radiator a little bit quicker. Should be able to keep I would assume it would keep your PC, your CPU a little bit cooler just because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Bam, trusty. Cool. Okay.
Nice. That's a lot of fans. Still got.
Well, I'm glad everybody got it once again. Let me go ahead and just put this in and I'll pin it to the top of the chat. That was a fun one. That was honestly a fun one. All right. Pin that up there for anybody who might need it. Now, this is I love this because it's a very black and white build. It's very Stormtrooper-esque in that sense. But one of the things that we've noticed is that when you've got a white internal build, it is the lights inside shine so much.
Yeah, the RGB really reflects off everything really nicely.
Yeah. I'm just like, DJ, not gonna lie, I was not figuring that out.
There's no way. There's no way I could either, so you're not a lone subject.
Once you said Hot Pockets, I understood.
You got it. The HP. Speaking my language.
Well, because I knew I couldn't actually ask anything about the other HP because we can't talk about that.
Yeah.
So. All right. Now, noticeably, there's going to be some different routing for the cable management on the back, Zach. What are some things you're having to take a look at doing?
So with these fans, like we're just dealing with, 12 fans worth of all of this. So making sure that I can plug all of them into a fan controller.
Yeah.
And them all reach like this. Yes, this is a big case, but having all of this room makes it that much easier. Like Paul was saying, ITXs are hard to build because you have to hide all of that cables. Big cases are easier to build because it's really just laid out for you. You kind of just are shooting for the best zone to run. Like these 3 cables, I tied them up in the center. There's 3 small grooves under the motherboard for like your HD audio, your USBs, your front panel, all of that stuff comes up from right there. So I just centralized the fan cables so that they all look like a part of it. Because if you remember, we talked about these covers.
Yeah.
These cover up a good portion of our cables. So.
Well, one thing I will say that I noticed, unlike some of the other cases that are white-based, the NV7 utilizes white rubber grommet pass-throughs as opposed to black rubber grommet pass-throughs, and I feel like that definitely hides it. It gives it more of a uniquely consistent look with the frame.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and the you can see obviously the screws are silver in this as well to kind of keep on theme with that.
Toxic Rat says, love to stay, but my classmates are needing Grandmaster carries. There we go. Your clanmates, not classmates. Go get it and make sure that you're kicking all the butts. Let's see here. Coming in, Death Spidey. Have you guys come to Vegas? I believe CLX has been at Vegas before, and hopefully we will be again for TwitchCon. That would be awesome. Coming up this October. Right now, I do know the next show that we will be at is in Dallas for DreamHack. So that's going to be happening June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. If you'd like to come out to DreamHack, make sure you get your tickets soon. And come by, say hi. Check out the PCs, get a chance to play on some amazing PCs, and more importantly, enjoy the extraordinary adventure that is DreamHack.
I need to do one more zip tie back here. Okay.
So here's a question about the fans. Now, the controllers fit 6 fans in each, correct?
8 fans.
8 fans in each. 4. Okay. So since we have 12, you're still going to use 2 control. You're not going to need more than 2 controllers.
Correct. Yeah, Zach's got our 2 controllers here. I'll show them real quick in my hand. It's very easy to, you can daisy chain them and then just zip tie them together like this. Makes it a lot easier to work with one chunk of section to plug your fans into. So that's what Zach's about to do now. He's already got 2 plugged in here. The big thing with these controllers is you can't just plug in the fans into whichever header that you would like. They have to go in sequential order, else they won't work properly. So in our first box, we got 1 through 8 going in there, and then the second box we'll do 1 through 4 on that one.
Gotcha. Bat Dad says, DJ, if I bring my glass side to a show, will you autograph it? Bat Dad, absolutely. I would absolutely autograph it. It would be my honor. It'd be great. Be careful with it. Subject says, watching this build is boosting my serotonin and curing my depression while making my shift go much faster. Thank you guys for your time, and absolutely. And I feel like this is what these guys do for fun anyways.
Oh, yeah.
It's just ultimate puzzle building.
Mm-hmm. So like we were talking about with the ITX cases and ATX cases, so you can see up here, we've got a lot of room for cable management. Now that hole in the top that you can see through, that's where our power supply is going to go. So we've got all that area in front of the power supply for cable management, which is really nice.
So from a cable management standpoint, then I would assume that because you do have that space, but it's not a lot of space, would it be advisable to always try and go with a modular power supply for this case, for this build? Yeah,
so if your budget can allow for a modular power supply, you definitely want to do that. It's just less cables to manage. It's easier to install. Just overall looks better. But it is part of a PC build where you can save some money on. So if you are needing to cut down on your budget, you can get a 750 watt 80 plus gold modular. You can get a 750 watt 80 plus gold non-modular and save some money there and get the same performance out of it.
Yeah. Subject says, why do I think I can do this myself when I have trouble putting a Jenga tower together? Trust me, I'm on the same page. And I have some friends who are really good at Jenga, and they will do the big bricks, you know, like the big blocks, stand up from the floor. And they do some of the most ridiculous things with everything from pool cues, like popping them through the middle, just brain-breaking moments. It's absurd. Let's see here. It's Big Sexy in the house. How are you? And Gigabyte just says power supply on the top. I'm seeing power supplies being on the bottom. Also true. What are some of the advantages, Paul, of having a power supply up that high in the case?
Yeah, so if we're like comparing this to Leon Lee, where the power supply is in the bottom, but still in the back panel, they are going to perform the same. It's just how the case was designed. So having your power supply on the back, though, as opposed to in the bottom, it's going to bring fresh air in from the side that Zach's working on, and then exhaust that air out the hole here, like the Leon Lee does. It brings in air down here and exhaust it. So it's going to function the same. It's just the way this case was designed. They've got it up top.
Gotcha. Perfect. Let's see here. Speaking of power supply units, or also known as a PSU, do you want to talk about that real quick? We are going to be shoving inside of this a 1,000 watt Gigabyte. It's a UD 1000 GM 80 plus gold power supply. Now, there is a question coming in. The reason I want to bring this up is because of one of the questions in the chat, and that is for the build, what is the minimum PSU that could run the system? That's a good question, Archblade.
So if you're wanting to go like bare minimum for this build, the i7 13700KF, 64 gigs of RAM, no extra storage drives, 3090 Ti, probably the bare minimum, and I wouldn't recommend this, but it would probably operate on a 750 watt. I would definitely recommend going higher than that though, like this customer has done. It would probably function fine on the 750 watt, and I might be a little bit overcautious. I just like to leave a lot of extra headroom. That way your power supply isn't running at, you know, like max power while you're gaming. If you've got a power supply that is running at just, you know, kind of its mid-tier level, it's going to last longer. It's like your car. If you're running your car at redline every time you drive, it's going to break a lot sooner than, you know, if you're running it at a regular RPM.
No, that word was never said, Gummy Bear Ninja. I absolutely did not say that. This isn't quick. I'm a professional, sir. I'm a professional.
We're on Mike's Live now, before stream. Oops.
Obviously, we've got you know, modular versus non-modular and semi-modulars. So, but this, how many? What are we going to be using for our cables from that setup that you've got? You hook everything in together.
Yeah, so when you open up a fully modular power supply, sorry, I realize this is not in the shot. Let me get it. We've obviously got our power brick here, and then it comes with all these cables. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to use all these cables. Some are extra just to have if you're adding more drives. So we're going to go through and pick out what we need. So obviously we need our big 24 pin for the motherboard. That's a standard. This motherboard has an 8 and a 4 pin for our CPU. So we're going to Need 2 CPU powers, so we're finding those. The CPUs and video powers are both 8-pin, but the CPU is a 4+4 and the video card is a 6+2. So they take a little bit more, it's not as easy to spot as obviously our 24-pin. So here's one of our CPU powers. You can also see one of the ways to tell is it's kind of got like double tabs right here where it locks in. And then you can,
oh yeah,
these will actually slide apart. Different power supplies have different ways of locking them in, but I can undo these and split them like that. So
again, kind of like a puzzle.
Yep. So we've got our 2 CPUs here. Like I said, this motherboard has an 8-pin and a 4-pin. So one of these is going to be an 8-pin configuration, and the other is going to be split off like this. We'll plug in one of the 4s and just tie up the other. So we've got our 24-pin, 2 CPUs. This video card, I believe, is going to need, yes, 3 8-pins. So we've got 1, 2, 3 there for our video card, and that is about it. We'll need 1 SATA to power our fan controller box, and there's probably a SATA on the case for the RGB.
4 SATAs in total.
4 SATAs. So this cable right here has 4 SATAs on it. So these are the cables we should need.
So speaking of graphics cards and the fun things that might be needed, let's take a look at what we're going to be putting inside this build. Today, this is an MSI GeForce RTX 3090 Ti. It is the Gaming X Trio 24 gig version of this NVIDIA graphics card. Tell us a little bit what you see and what are some of the features that just stand out to you.
Yeah, so this is a beast of a card, just first and foremost. The MSI Gaming X Trio. So it's got 3 fans. We've got some RGB bars along the top. I believe there's some other lighting in there with the fans, but maybe not. I could be thinking of a different version. So we'll have RGB on our MSI and on this bar here. It does have a nice backplate, as it should. A card this good should have a backplate. And the fins are a little bit more exposed than normal. So we can see the front side of the heatsink right here, and we can see all the heat pipes coming through this. So you can count your heat pipes on here to tell you how many are going to go through. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can see those a little bit better if we look into the side there.
Yeah, look at that. And those are aluminum as opposed to copper.
Yeah. These ones are copper. They're just going to be nickel plated, I believe. So they're
gotcha. Okay.
I don't know. They're not showing off their copper. They want to keep them this silver color.
Okay. And do want to go through, since we have the moment, just for those who've never actually seen what goes into a graphics card, let's take a look at that, because this is kind of an important thing to recognize when you think, all right, well, CPUs have to be cooled by this giant liquid cooler, but, you know, because there's honestly just not enough room for that giant type of a heat exchange. Paul, how do these cards get so cool? Yeah,
so when you're looking at a video card like this, you know, it's easy to think of these as just one solid piece. This is your video card, right? This is what it is. But this is definitely broken down into some smaller pieces. So what I'd like to point out first is the PCB, which is the actual board that this is sitting on. It's kind of this orangey yellow. You can see it comes out to about here. And our heatsink actually extends past that, and that allows for a little bit more air to flow through these fins and get out. But why I'm pointing that out is I've got our handy dandy 1050 Ti here, which is just slightly less powerful than this 3090 Ti. But you can see the PCB. Yeah, you can see the PCB here. It's a little bit smaller. But if you unscrew this, which don't do, this will break your warranty. But you can take the actual fan shroud off and show you just what this video card is. So this is your video card. So if I were to take the fans and heat spreaders off this 3090 Ti, it would look just like this. Obviously it would be a little bit longer, but it would be just as thin. You'd have your GPU here with memory chips. So it's always crazy to see that this is actually your video card and the rest is just bulk dealing with the heat that it produces.
Yeah, so something so small creating something so hot is just fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah.
All right. Getting back over here to the right screen. There we are. So we'll get this all up there. Zach, how is the cable management going back there?
Oh, man. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
I
don't know if that was intentional, but it was good.
So I have a liquid cooling question for you, Paul. Because we've seen some. Obviously, we saw a couple of them at PAX, also at other shows. Liquid cooled graphics cards.
Yeah.
Now some of them have to be in an open loop system in order to get the water block attached to the card for cooling purposes. But what about those that are pre-made from the manufacturer? Like I know ROG has one that just comes pre-assembled with a 2 pump on it. A 240.
Yeah.
What do you think the performance difference is between having just the default stock fan heat exchanger on it versus that 240 AIO?
Yeah, so the performance different there is, once again, going to be based on what you're playing. So if you're playing a game, like an indie game that's not requiring a lot of power, it's going to perform the same. But once you get into those higher end titles that are, like Cyberpunk or something that's really graphically demanding, that's where you really benefit from having that AIO. It's essentially like your CPU as far as, our CPU is going to run faster when it can. And if it starts getting too hot, it'll throttle down. Your video card does the same thing. So having that extra cooling from an AIO as opposed to an air cooling method, is going to allow it to run faster in those more high performance games.
Gotcha. Yep. Also got I banned Materialistic for being awkward. Congratulations. You're a bot. Get good.
NPC.
Yep. So question coming in from Zombie Rain says, I have a question about that particular GPU and the RAM on the board. It looks like the 4.0 is relatively close to the RAM spot.
The 4.0? I'm not sure.
Are you talking about the PCIe slot? Because this should fit. Yeah, he says, yeah, the PCIe slot.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah.
So, we're going to obviously be putting it in this top slot here. This does have a reinforced PCIe slot. That's why you can see the shiny metal around it. And yeah, this is going to fit in. I can just kind of test fit this here a little bit. So you can see it there. There is a decent gap from our memory, but this is a beast of a card. This is big.
Yeah. And it's a big baby. So how many slots is that card?
Okay, so this would be... man, this actually might just be a 3-slot card. I'd probably say, 3.5 to be safe. But what we're looking at here when we make that designation is obviously we have these 3 tabs here. So it's easy to say it's a 3-slot. But with coolers getting bigger and bigger nowadays, the fan shroud usually sticks out a little bit further past that. So that's why we'll refer to it as like a 3.5 slot. So this PCIe by 1 slot you can see down here, this is probably going to be covered. But we should be able to use this by 16, and then we've got 2 more open PCIe by 1s that will be available to use.
Awesome. Speaking of which, since you've got a good look on the front of it, let's talk about the ports on this case and what you're going to be able to use just from the case alone.
Yeah, so right here, it's on the front of the case here. Is it all right if I rotate it, Zach? So I'll show you here. So our ports are kind of hidden on the front of this case. They're down here at the bottom. So you can see we've got 2 3.0s right here, a Type-C, and then a headset/mic port right there for us.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Man, this is looking so clean back here. Like, it looks like there's just so much room. I'll actually show you guys once you get that one down, Zach. That way you can see how Zach's coming along on this tie-up. I'm just impressed at how much more room there is. This is, keep in mind guys, this is 12 fans in this build. That is 12 fan wires to manage. And they're all already plugged in up here into this box. Yeah. I mean, it looks like we've got all sorts of room for everything else. So.
Well, and again, shout out to Phanteks for not only continuing to keep that Velcro baseline in the back of it, because I think it's a genius move, but also their innovation with the doors just still blows my mind.
Yeah, it looks great.
I was so impressed with how clean this build looked just at the show. Like, it was wild. And of course we saw them, even more of them were at DreamHack, which was cool because we saw what a lot of different people did with the build. Some of the modders took some liberties of creating some really unique structures inside, which was rad. Yeah, also new emotes, people, check it out. definitely check it out. While we're doing that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's on the back I/O panel shield of this motherboard, because we haven't gotten a chance to really go through that. It's going to have a PS2 mouse keyboard port on it, plus 3 antenna mounting ports, 1 HDMI port. It's got a USB 3.2 Type 2 Type A, Gen 2 Type A. It's a 10 gigabits per second on that one Type C port that is also 3.2 Gen 2. That's also a 10 gigabyte per second pass-through. You've got your 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1s that do support ESD protection. And I'm going to ask, what the heck is ESD protection?
So ESD stands for electrostatic discharge. So that's if me and Zach are rubbing our feet together here and shocking each other. So that's what that refers to. So having that ESD protection is usually something like a fuse, you know, in your house, where if any extra voltage or current goes through, it'll protect it. So that's what that's referring to.
Gotcha. It does have a... There it is. It does have a gigabit RJ45 or LAN port, so you've got that gig up, gig down speed for your hardwire. And then of course you've got your BIOS flash button and the HD audio jacks, line in, front speaker and microphone on the back of that as well.
Oh, I see subject. Yeah, man. If you have any questions, you know, get into our Discord. You can hit me up in there. I'll be happy to answer them if you got any questions while we're not streaming.
Our Discord, do you mean the Discord that you can get into by going to discord.gg/CLX Gaming? Is that the Discord that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
I wasn't even trying to build it a segue. I just wanted, you know, if you guys, so like you mentioned, getting taken on as a Padawan, that'd be awesome, man. If you were local, I would say come in and we could show you how to build one. But no, yeah, definitely you can reach out to me or anybody in our Discord. You know, any of our employees here, they can help you out.
DJ, say that again. It was way too fast. Discord.gg/CLX Gaming. There we go.
I'm P stuff in Discord, so if you want to DM me or just tag me in your question, all that's fine.
And again, from a cable management perspective, this case is genius the way that it's laid out. I just love it.
Yeah, I haven't been like excited about a case in a long time, probably since the Evolve X came out, and that's what I moved my build to. And kind of being in the industry, you know, you get kind of a little, maybe a little jaded just seeing all the cases that come out and being hyped up. But this is one that I am honestly excited for and really considering switching to.
Okay, so you guys are in Wichita, Kansas. I don't know if I spelled that correctly. I'll be honest, I almost accidentally spelled Kansas with an L.
Lansis?
And yes, and I thought that would have been thoroughly inappropriate.
That'd be a good LAN party. A good LAN party name for Kansas.
I mean, if you're playing Clash of Clans, yes. Otherwise, it's like, is it though? Yeah. Nicole's in the house. Welcome back from the wonderful world of San Diego for DreamHack. Subject's like, well, looks like I'm moving to Kansas, people. GG.
Yeah.
Oh.
Come on in. You can come play Magic with me and Zach, even though I haven't been at the shop on Wednesdays.
Right.
I go on Thursdays.
Right. Wednesdays nights is the coolest.
But we've got a pretty good Magic the Gathering community here. We got a bunch of guys in the shop that go play. So
we have Smash tournaments.
Yeah. I felt like
where we eat cheeseburgers as fast as we can.
Yep. Yeah. We put the projector on the warehouse wall, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
But no, we ended up actually using a curved monitor for the last one. The projector on the wall is cool, but it's a projector, so it's not as good as a good monitor. But
okay.
Now comes the big struggle.
Like, this is everything plugged in, case wires plugged in, our USB, our audio, everything plugged in, and we still have all that room to play with.
Okay.
What do you want to do next, Zach?
I don't know.
Go.
I'll do some cable management. Some cables.
With the power supply cables.
24 pin and CPUs.
24 pin.
And then I'll install the graphics card after.
Okay. All right.
Now, I did get a question up a little bit previously, a few minutes ago, about whether or not this 3090 Ti is going to need an anti-sag bracket.
Yes, so this one will need an anti-sag bracket, and that is something that we will show once we get it installed here a little bit closer to the end of the build, because this case has a really cool way of doing that.
Is it built into the case, or is it just additional to the bracket? Oh my God, are you kidding me right now?
Really? Oh, dude.
Are you serious? It's built into the case?
Yeah.
Shut up, that's awesome.
It's right
Every
here.
time you've got to be, and it attaches to that bar, doesn't it?
Yeah, the bar that covers up your cable management.
Ah, that's awesome. What? You just think of everything.
Okay.
All right, so speaking of everything, everything you need for our giveaway is LAV5 HPC, 5 highly protective computers. 5 highly problematic cats.
Subject said he just got into collecting magic again.
Yeah.
Which fit in well.
I'm going to be honest. After the interviews that Jason and Kyle and I did with the Magic players at DreamHack, we were, honestly, I was blown away.
Yeah,
blown away.
It's really cool, like, that DreamHack got involved with Magic. So, like, all of us guys here that are local, like, we've been going to RCQs trying to get the invite for DreamHack Dallas. A bunch of the guys that I play with already got their invites, so they're going to be down there. I'm still trying. I've got a few more I can grind out, so I'm not as good of a player as those guys are, but we're getting there. It's a lot of practice, man. Magic is many years to get good at.
And and the fun thing is that next week we're actually going to be able to show. We'll have it fully edited and ready to go. We're going to show our special expose on the wonderful world of Magic: The Gathering, which, to be fair, I am super jazzed about because I've never been in Magic: The Gathering before, like gotten into it. Now I'm fascinated by it.
Cool.
There is such an in-depth. Oh my gosh, there we go. LAV JTGA 100 entries for the first 50 people. Get it good. Let's go.
Okay.
Nice.
This is going to be a tricky part to show. So what Paul showed earlier about these little posts that are on the back side. Oh my God, there you go. Try to grab it again. This is a 24-pin cable wrap. So all of this comes directly from your motherboard. Behind your motherboard gets Velcroed down.
What?
Wait, but wait, there's more. Wraps around.
Hold my zip ties. I've got more.
I know. Comes back through.
And
then
up to the
boom!
power supply.
Cable managed.
No kidding.
But wait, there's more. While I leave this door open, I'm going to duck my CPU cables down into it as well.
This is absolutely genius.
I knew you'd love it because the day that I removed the top of the Evolve X, that blew your mind. And this case blew my mind, man. Like, all of the stuff that can happen with this case is crazy. Okay, let's do the graphics.
All right. This is your big old MSI 3090 Ti. It's a workhorse, let me tell you.
That boy is heavy.
It is.
Definitely a very Stormtrooper-esque build with all of the, it's just very black and white.
Also, one thing I noticed, this was the first time I had to add a standoff for ASRock's 10th. These are elongated standoffs. These are not your typical standard height standoffs. So it is elevated from the back wall a little bit more. And by a little bit, I'm like 2 to 3 millimeters style.
I wonder if that's for like the really high-end motherboards that have the back plate on them. It allows for a little bit of room because of that.
Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting. Get that all slid in there. I'm super intrigued about this whole, it's got a built-in. Anti-sag device is wild. From this angle, though, it's a great example here. Obviously, traditionally, you'd see those fans in the bottom blowing straight up towards your capture card or your graphics card. Graphics card obviously is pulling the air up to cool down by pushing it out the sides. This allows for it to still get fresh air, but again, at that angle, it's going to blow that air, that fresh air, up across that glass, helping to not only cool the glass, but provide fresh air to the top radiator as well, along with those 4 on the bottom that are going to be pushing air in on top of that. So lots of really great airflow. I'll be honest, I would love to do like a match test or a little fog test to just kind of put a little smoke in underneath or a little fog in underneath and watch how it rotates through the through the PC.
All right, so we're throwing in the power brick here on the back. Let me actually, before you screw that in, we'll rotate this so you guys can see how we're doing this. So we already know where this power supply is going. The biggest thing is obviously you want to make sure your fan is out here rather than flipped around where it can't breathe. So with our fan being on this side, we're going to get fresh air in through the back panel and then exhaust it out right here. So like the 011, none of the heat from the power supply is going to be in the main body of the case.
Which is awesome. Subject wants to know, Building Bros, on average, how long does it usually take y'all to put together a monster rig?
So something like this, I would honestly, once we've done it a lot, you know, you can get it down to an hour, sub-hour. But I would honestly like if we were doing it, I would tell somebody it's going to take me 2 hours to do a big build like this. This one just has, I mean, as you saw, just so much more time in just taking things off and routing the cables, just for the size and the design of it, which obviously isn't a bad thing. It just takes a little bit more time. But like a standard one, once we're flowing through these, I guarantee we could probably get them done an hour or less. Hayden could probably do one in 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
So,
yeah,
you know.
So Capo mentioned, hey, you know, just do an incense stick for to watch the smoke go through, except for that has particulates in it. Smoke of any type of burning element would have particulates in it that could present a problem with the internal elements.
We could get some big box mods and start vaping in here. Use a vape test. We can do some vape
There you go.
natos.
That'd be hilarious to vape into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that Zombie Rain brought up a very good question, a good statement. Use like the wind tunnel smoke, but it needs to be in a way that no components get hurt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, non-particulate
smoke is
I wouldn't say
hard to come
vapor, because vapor has.
You mean my vape has particulates in it?
You're a particulate in it.
Man.
Again, loving these. This is great. Yeah, everybody looked at it and kept thinking that they were looking at the front, and they'd get around to the front and be like, wait, I thought that was the front. Well, where's the back? I'm like, the cords are on the inside, people. The cords are on the inside.
Yeah, so while we're at this shot here, actually, sorry, Jason, I said that right when we were switching. So if you can see, you obviously see our IO shield right here. Under that IO shield, you can really see those fingers kind of sticking out. Since this case has that door that goes on the back, which if you weren't here for the beginning of the stream, we'll show that again at the end when we put it on. But it covers up all of that. So what those fingers do is allow you to run your cables for, you know, keyboard, mouse, anything you're plugging in there, in those, and keep them neatly organized. That was probably my only critique of this case, is I typically don't like cases where the IO shield in the back is recessed in. We did Inwin 909s a while back and stuff like that, and I didn't like those because you had to pull a back panel off in order to like plug your keyboard in. So I do like this because it's got the door that opens up and then those fingers that can manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we've got all of those cables going in.
Sage keeps the demons out. Yeah, we'll get a burning sage going on in here.
So speaking of burning sage and all things that work and Velcro, let's talk about something else that's really easy to use, and that's going to be our website, if we're ready. At CLX Gaming, we make sure it is easy as possible to utilize our system to build your PC. It means not only your needs, but it may just meet your dreams. From cases to motherboards, CPUs, GPUs, power supplies, cable mods, everything that you can think of is something that we can help you adjust and adapt. And don't worry, you don't have to be a pro like these guys. If you happen to select two items that are not compatible, that little green button turns to the yellow and it says solve conflict. Now there's two options. You can either choose a different motherboard that matches the RAM that you've chosen, or choose different RAM that matches the motherboard you've chosen. Once that gets completed, it goes back to add to cart. This makes sure that everything that you've done is going to be fine as your PC heads over to testing before it gets shipped out. Speaking of shipping, if you're not really interested in building your own PC, don't worry. We have hundreds of models that are ready to ship, pre-built, and are looking for their new home. So take a look over at clxgaming.com for all of your PC needs and step your game up today. Ta-da! There we go. Now, I did mention something in that little rigmarole of stuff that I say often, and that is, before it goes to testing, Paul, tell everyone what happens to these PCs once you're done building them.
Yeah, so every machine we build here, whether it's one for a customer, one for a giveaway, one for a show, as soon as it's built, we'll plug in the power cord, make sure it turns on, and then from there it goes into our testing and integration department. And the first thing we do there is get into the BIOS of the system. We'll make sure our RAM speed is set correctly, all of our storage drives are showing up. If the system's going to be Windows 11, we got to turn off CSM and turn on Secure Boot. And then we might check a few other settings in the BIOS, make sure that's all good. Once the BIOS is set, we'll boot it to our network, and that's where we're going to load our operating system, any games the customer wants, and anything else like that. And once everything's been loaded on there, we put the system through a 12-hour stress test or a burn-in, and that's where we'll run different benchmarking softwares. Primarily, we use 3D Mark. We'll use Prime 95 for a mark. Kind of depends on the build, but always at least 3D Mark. And doing that for 12 hours allows us to catch any defects that we might not catch just from turning on the system. So let's say this system right here turns on, everything's good, we get into BIOS, we load everything, but when it gets into a gaming environment, the memory fails. Well, doing that burn-in allows us to catch that failure there, replace it, test it again here, and make sure that we deliver a stable system.
Absolutely. Which is really cool. Also, in case anybody hasn't already heard, something got brought up last show that we haven't really focused a whole ton on, but we definitely should. When you get your system installed, it is simply pure Windows. That's it. No bloatware, no strange offers of 9 different antivirus programs. It is just Windows and whatever things you ask us to install, that we have the capability to do so. It's one of the nice things about the systems that are built here.
Yeah, that's something I need to honestly remember to bring up more. It's just something that we don't do, so I don't even think about it. But yeah, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on here, is not installing any bloatware on your machine. When you get your system, you're going to get a fresh Windows install only with what you selected. If you didn't select anything, you're just going to get your Windows install with nothing on it. It's the right way to do it.
No World of Tanks.
Yeah, you can get World of Tanks if you want it, but probably not any I don't want to say any names of antivirus software, so I won't, but yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. Windows Defender is all you need, people. It's all you need. I am kind of excited to see how this, once it gets all this connected, how that anti-sag bracket is going to work, because it looks cool, and so far everything they've done on this case is genius.
Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park with this, honestly. And it's glad to see him do that as well. The Evolve X was amazing. The P500, G500 are great. We're starting to see more of the cubes, So really, Phanteks is just, from everything that we've seen, just a really good quality brand.
Yep, absolutely 100% agree.
Yes.
No hard drives, just the folder.
1, 2, 3, 4. You want all 4 on one?
4 on 1 will be fine, because it's
Okay.
just fans and RGBs, so I'm okay with that.
There you go. Yeah, I'm excited for everybody to see how this all works out and plays out. Coming up a little later today, once we take our traditional break, we're going to be spending the afternoon with Zack as he continues to build and impress you with his extraordinary assembling prowess. I've got a code I'm going to be giving out on my stream later on today. Plus, today during the break, you're going to get to see our current video, and that is day 2 and 3 of DreamHack that Jason has edited so amazingly well. Yesterday or Tuesday during the break, you got to see our day 1. So I'm excited for you to see day 2 and day 3. We've got some other great pieces that we recorded that we're going to be showing you over time in the next couple of weeks, which have been very, very interesting, especially with the ability for us to have gone a little outside of our normal space and really focusing on some other elements within the gaming world that aren't just PC related. And so it was really fun. It was we met a lot of really great people. Now, speaking of things that great people do, let's talk about things that you shouldn't do when it comes to where to set your PC, because obviously we see it's got that great gap there. It's larger in the back than it is in the front, so you've got that angle. Paul, what are some best practices when you are deciding where you're going to put this beautiful PC in the first place?
Yeah, so the big thing you want to think about when you're setting your PC, if you're setting it on the floor, is obviously is it carpeted, hardwood, something like that. Obviously, if it's anything but carpet and it's a hard surface, that's always great. You'll have this gap maintained for good airflow. If you do have a carpeted basement like myself, and that's where your PC is, what I do is I just cut out a rectangle of cardboard that's a little bit bigger than my case, and I set my case on top of that. If you've got tile or wood, something like that, you can put down on the carpet. What that does is when you set your computer on that piece, that piece will compress the carpet and still leave this gap here. If you've got some 1970s shag carpeting, it's probably going to be as tall as this, and you don't want, you want your case to be able to breathe.
Does this case come with a filtration system similar to other cases that we've seen?
It does. So it is going to slide out the back here. I'll just pull it out just like this. And this is a tray that sits in the bottom.
Nice. A little bit different than the Leon Lee's, but also it is great. That fine mesh is going to help keep all the nasty crap out.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's looking pretty clean, Zach.
Thank you.
I'm going to rotate it a little bit. That's okay. We'll get this on camera. So Zach's pretty much finished with tie up here.
Look at that.
So yeah,
great.
You can see this nice area to be able to put all these cables in. I'm obviously routing all the power cables up here and using our Velcro tie downs to hold those there. So now what we're looking at, this build is pretty much complete. We're obviously going to install the video card bracket, which Zach is putting on that piece right there. And then those pieces will pop in, and they're going to cover a little bit of these cables, and then also up top, and it'll give us a nice RGB line there.
Speaking of lines, Zach, what you doing over there? Zach?
Oh, I think the headset might have died.
My phone's doing
Oh yeah, good old phone is updating like good old Windows. So Zach's mounting the anti-sag bracket for our video card. So you can see him getting those screws in there, and then that will actually slide up and down, as you can see there, to compensate for your video card. So you get it set to where it's holding your card.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you tighten the set screws down, and that'll hold it in place. So this is actually at this angle. Can you get it in there, Zach?
Yeah.
Can you see it around the other side? This might be a really good spot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
That's a great angle right there. It looks cool.
I'm actually.
It's just kind of gauging the way it looks.
You want to lay it down?
I need to come in from this angle with it because it's got to manage like all of this stuff. Yeah, perfect. We'll try that. Okay.
All right, so we've got some stuff to work around, as you can see there.
Yeah. Is it something that would normally that could or would normally be done with the graphics card out?
You can. You could do this, but what's nice about why he's doing it this way is so we can just easily adjust where that holder needs to sit. And if it gives us too many issues, yep, we can definitely just pull the card out and get it in there and line it up after.
Mighty Endeavor is here. Hello, my friend. He says, it's always, Garrick's mentioned that it's clean. He says it's always clean, which it is. Mighty Endeavor brings up a good question. Have you done any open builds, i.e. not in a full case?
Oh yeah, like open air builds, yes. So when I first started here and really gung-ho, I got a, so I had seen people doing desk builds, right, where the build is inside their desk. We actually have one in the studio, but I was doing a really ghetto version of that, so I wanted to make like a desk drawer build. So I took a 4U server, which servers are either 1U, 2U, 3U, 4U, they go higher than that, but that's basically the depth of the server. And so I took the top panel off of a 4U because my video card was too big, and I screwed through my wooden desk that my gaming PC was under and made it like a drawer so I could just slide out my PC on this motherboard tray. It was very janky. It was probably not something to be proud of, but it was cool.
That's hilarious. New emotes in the house. Check it out, check it out, check it out, people. Love it.
I've thought about doing a build like on my wall in my basement too, and just mounting the components to my wall and doing it that way. But maybe one day.
Yeah. There we go. All right, now we're getting that bracket on. Could you ask Zach what's the best consideration, like what's he going through in the process right now of getting this all attached?
Yeah, so Zach, what are you kind of running into here?
So just have to move a bunch.
A little bit this way.
Just have to move a bunch of the cables that I want to be in this call.
The cables that are plugged
like
into the motherboard there.
The 24 pin, the USB cables, and then this has 3 cables that are coming to the graphics card, so all of those have to get moved as well.
What we've seen too, and Zach built the first one that we ever did here a while back, and I remember what you were telling me, Zach, was these covers, they're really nice and they cover those cables, but depending on where the cables are placed on the motherboard, it can be a little bit difficult getting these on.
Yes.
Now, once you get them on, you're solid and they will go on, but these also are covering up some of the cables to give the whole system a cleaner look. So depending on those cables, it's obviously going to push down on them a little bit.
Gotcha. And he's back.
Not really.
That's all right.
Yeah. Okay. My handy dandy level.
Nice.
That's just
so. If you see here, Zach's got that in, and then he's got a level out. So this is the level of care you get when Zach builds a PC. So he's going to use it. Obviously, set the level on the video card and adjust that holder so that it's perfectly level.
freaking genius, dude.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like them saggy cards.
Yeah. Now something I'll bring up too. So when this system ships, in any system with a large video card or even a regular size, video card, when this ships, we're gonna put foam packing material inside. We have these bags that you pop one side and it mixes with the chemicals, and then it will auto form around all the components in the case. So even though this has that holder, we're still gonna be putting foam in this case to really hold that video card secure when the system ships.
Okay.
And we get that top bar up there, which is going to be great.
Sorry.
I'm jazzed about how all these little pieces. Now, granted, yeah, there's little pieces in this case, but it helps really create the clean look.
Yeah,
look at that.
Flat cables up top. So the reason why that is a difficult ordeal is your CPU cables are right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can barely get a finger from the back. You can see how I'm like pushing those down low. These being flat cables makes it a lot easier because there's a post right there where this hole goes through.
Shut up, Paul.
Slides right in. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's funny, like, you know, dealing with the cases, like, you know, it's just like, oh, that one was tough, and then the other one just snaps right in.
Yes.
I
Get the
think
plastics off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're good to go. Obviously, we've got to put the panels on here, but this thing comes together.
I'm excited to see how this is going to look. It's going to be
order. Front glass first.
Front glass first on this. Okay. I've got them separated out in the way we took them off. So hopefully.
So there is a panel order on here that you have to go in. Yes?
Yeah, there's definitely a preferred method of going. So you can see Zach taking out screws right there. I'll try to show it on this panel here. You can see. Oh, sorry, Zach. There's this screw right here that's going to secure it in. There you go.
Oh, okay. So a little bitty notch, little latch.
Yeah, I'll get them. Yeah, we'll get them once it's tightened down.
Just making sure they're not on the inside. I think that's what we were looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, I can get it once it's in there, but if you want, we can do it from here too. Yeah. It's honestly sometimes a little easier while it's sitting in there because of the way this case is designed. There's no pillar.
No way. Well, there's no way to move. Yeah. That guy's got to go on.
Subject mentions this build is very clone/stormtrooper-esque, and I'm loving it. Agreed. Uchukiri, hi. I am definitely on professional mode, Gun Bear Ninja. Don't worry, I'm gonna make lots of jokes when I get it over my stream. Mighty Endeavor asked a good question. Have there been any custom case builds or cases you guys have designed or co-designed with a manufacturer?
Yeah, so we've talked to a few different manufacturers. I'm not sure exactly what I'm allowed to talk about on stream, but we are definitely you know, there's definitely some companies that we have designed cases with in the past, and we'll be doing more of that in the future. Sorry, I'm not meaning to be super vague, but yeah.
I mean, I guess since we did it on stream, we could talk about Sway's case. I mean, we've got some of those custom designs.
Those ones are more, we get the case in itself, and then we do all the custom work on there rather than working with the company to like come up with a custom fab case. So we do a lot of that here in-house. So the Phanteks Elite is another one that we will add some customization options ourselves when we're doing the open loop builds. And then all of our paint work and print designs is all done in-house as well. We have an amazing painter, Dave, who does a great job with all of our paint designs. The lavender that you see, we've got all sorts of different, the space cases is a really cool one. I definitely recommend checking that out. We definitely done a build of that on the stream too, so that's probably on our YouTube.
LMFP asks, how would you go about cleaning a Pokemon Crystal cartridge? And I haven't the faintest.
So
I feel like that element is taken.
Hold on. You mean this Pokemon Crystal cartridge right here? Oh man, who would have thought? You mean this one? Oh, that I have in my pocket. Who knew I was playing? I got a fresh playthrough of Pokemon Crystal going on in my SP. No, you just buy the bit. It's just one screw there on the back.
Okay, I took this one out.
Here we go.
I bought a couple crystals and put new batteries in them so they'd save.
Subject asks you guys, have you built and designed your own rigs, or did you all have someone else do it for you?
So I've built my own rig. That's kind of, well, I mean, working here, you know, it's pretty much, you know, we just done it so much, it's pretty easy to throw it together. But my first PC I ever built, I had a friend walk me through that knew how to build them. So Zach, I'm assuming you built your PC that you're using?
Yes.
I guess I've witnessed you build it a couple times here.
Yeah. My first
Gone
system,
through some iterations.
Yeah, my uncle, it was a hand-me-down of all of his old parts, and so he helped me, and we did it as a tag team, build it together. So, and that was like when I was a wee little lad. But yeah, most recently, I think that's more fun for me than anything is like, oh, well, let's see what it looks like in this case. Oh, well, let's see what it looks like in this case.
Yep.
Oh, well, let's see what it looks like in this case. So it's...
You're just moving your stuff around.
Yeah, Zach did a desk build here, and then I just saw you a couple weeks ago pulling the parts out of that. I had that going on there, but the back goes on first on these?
Because of the way this corner part is.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
and the top goes on last, locking everything in.
And you want to make sure that the back door's open, because the first time I tried just sliding it, I'm like, why isn't it closing? And then I swung it around, I'm like, oh, it stops right there.
Kegels. So,
I don't know if we have a power cord long enough, Paul.
Yeah, well, we might. We'll see what we get with
are
this.
all the way down here. This one's all
So,
right there.
yeah. So we've got this here. We're gonna actually, we usually just plug it in to the back of the PC, but let's actually show us do this here. So we're gonna rotate this to the back, and then we'll get it into the position.
Yeah.
So this is the back.
This is what everybody thought that was the front. They were like, "That."
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
So
Are the cables coming out of the backpack? And I was like, no, watch this. The door just swings open.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
So this is the back of the case, and this will open up here for all of our ports and our power supply cable there. Does that give you enough? I think, I'm going to unplug it real quick.
Not unlimited power. Unlimited power.
Now we've got unlimited power.
Unlimited power.
And here, let me just make sure our cable's clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put it in those fingers there.
Yep.
The case can hold on to the cable for us.
Just like this.
So yeah, we've got a notch there at the bottom door. You can see Zach running that through for our cables to come out of. So
look at
just
that.
like that, super clean.
Look how clean that is.
Looks great.
Or
it's wild.
If you want to unplug that real quick.
Mm-hmm. There you go. You've got it.
I'll show another way.
Oh. I didn't
Here, Paul.
even think about that.
Take that side.
All right.
That's also genius.
Yeah, it's wireless.
Friggin'
What
believable.
cable?
It's wireless.
Yeah. Patent pending. So, yeah. All right, so we'll rotate this back. That way you guys can see it turn on, Zach. If you don't mind grabbing that side. This
This is great. There we go.
This thing is a beast.
There. Oh, that's
How
perfect
about
right
that,
there.
Jason? Does that look?
That is perfect. No reflections, no hatred. This is good.
All right, power supply switch I'm sure is on. I don't know if we should be. There we go. All righty.
Ready? Power button is on the top. Oh my gosh, it's like a party in there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. The LED line underneath where it says CLX there. It comes all the way around that side. That's brilliant. As you can see, the air obviously coming in from the back, up from the bottom, out the top and the rear. One heck of a color combo.
Yeah, this thing looks great.
It looks awesome. Let's once again go over everything that went into this incredible PC for Zoo in Savannah, Georgia. This has an Intel Core i7-13700KF processor that's installed on an ASRock Z690 Phantom Gaming 4 motherboard. With two 32 sticks of GSKill DDR4 3600 RAM, it's got a total of 64 gigs with a 1 terabyte Kingston NVMe M.2 hard drive that's on the motherboard itself, plus the graphics all being powered by an MSI NVIDIA GeForce 3090 Ti graphics card. We've got 12 different Game DS AEOLUS M.2 or M2 fans, plus it's all inside of the brand new Phanteks NV7 case, and that's coming in hot in white. It's all being powered by a 1000 watt Gigabyte UD 1000 GM 80 plus gold power supply. Well done and congratulations, Zoo in Savannah, Georgia. Once this gets through testing, they're going to send that on out to you.
Congratulations.
Awesome job. Looks
This is
genius.
the first customer build for this. So this is
Awesome.
looks absolutely great. Let's see here. So don't forget, this show is on every Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific. That is 2 Eastern, where we jump inside custom builds and assemble them from the ground up. If you'd like to follow us for all of the latest things happening with our social media, as well as our media and our show, check out YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at CLX Gaming. You can also find us in our community Discord, discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can find codes for this month's giveaway simply by showing up to the shows, participating, and hanging out. You can also get them on our social media, as well as in the Discord and over on my channel on top of that, which we're going to be doing one of those today as well. Big shout out and thank you to our partners with Asus, Kingston, and Phanteks for the April giveaway with that beautiful lavender build that's right now behind this genius white build. So with that being said, we're going to be taking a quick break and showing you day 2 and day 3 of DreamHack San Diego, which was absolutely amazing. And when we come back from that, Zach's going to walk you through an incredible day of more builds. So, I heard Jason say something. Got it. This is day 2 and day 3, part 1. We'll say that. It's day 2 and day 3, part 1 is the video we're about to show. So thank you guys so much for all of you being here. And on behalf of Jason and Kyle in production, Paul and Zach from DJ BluePDX, stick around. Thanks for watching. And don't go away. We've got more coming up right after this. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.